Now you have to make another noise to prove it wasn't.
You look at me. He looks right at me. I was like, huh? I love it. I thought you were looking at Jared, then you were looking at me.
Welcome everybody. I advise that the meeting will be recorded for digital recording of our minutes, etc., and for live streaming. The Circular Council acknowledges the Northwest Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of the country in which we stand, meet and play. We recognise their continuing connections to the land, waters and community. We pay respect to elders, past, present and emerging. I'd ask to be upstanding for prayers, please.
Let us take a moment to clear our minds and focus our hearts on achieving clarity and wisdom in discussion and debate. We ask that light shines in our hearts and illuminates the decisions made here tonight on behalf of our community.
Thank you. All in attendance. No apologies or leave of absences, therefore. I need a mover and a seconder to confirm the minutes of the July 18 meeting. Thanks, Councillor Colledon. Second, Councillor Dabner. No debate? I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Is there any declarations of interest? Councillor Hine?
I reckon there is on 20.3, Memorandum of Understanding.
20.3, yep. Thank you. No others? Thank you. 4.1 is Mayor's Communications and Meetings. Any questions or queries in regard to that lot? Councillor Pilkington?
The RecFit update meeting.
After the major meeting, we asked for another one. It allowed the General Manager to inquire about some more details around the community fund arrangements, which is going into legislation. That was the main issue, and I had some queries around how the final thing was done, but I haven't answered back on that. So the main part was the information on the community fund from there, which was given pretty good. So
The Dismal Swamp Steering Committee.
yes, it was just started. Obviously, they move forward now. It was really just information of now we move forward to the finalising the expression of interest document to get that out. Going forward, Vanessa, General Manager, will be the Council's representative on that committee. I'd been hanging around the edges, so that's why I got the invite to go.
Who else is on it?
Now you're testing me, righto. From Circular Head, Clint Walker will be on it, and Vanessa, and Representative Chack, Luke Sayer, and some other government ones with names I can't remember, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The government body type people.
Shack were the local ones,
Yeah.
and then there was Department of State Growth was the main other representatives. We also had a couple of people from the commercial partner who are the specialists in marketing these kind of things to the right people to get the right expressions of interest.
So it was just a general first meeting, and I suspect that they will be reasonably regular over the next couple of months, 3 months, as they get rolling.
I'm happy to keep councillors.
You've got a thing to fix.
I have got a thing to think. Thanks, Councillor Oldacre. Short-term memory. You'll note in here, where are we, on the 9th of August, I had coffee with the Mayor and Chris Beckham. That's actually the General Manager who's agreed instead of the Mayor. So the Mayor, the General Manager and the CEO, it was really a meet and greet conversation. So I'll get Matt and James that. Thank you. Thank you.
Mover.
Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? And if no more, thanks, Deputy Mayor. Seconder, Councillor Flowers. Put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Notification of the council workshops. We've all been here bar Councillor Flowers, so if I can have a move and a second, they be noted, please. Councillor Dabner, second Councillor Hine. Put the motion, those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. 5.0, 1, 2, 3, no one in attendance, so we move forward to 6, which is Planning Authority nil. 7, some questions there from Councillor Flowers with responses. Councillor Flowers?
With the Lake McCartney one, would in our, what would you call it, in our best interest to ask whether they can join onto the irrigation scheme? Because if Lake McCartney, if this does it again, what's happening now, we could be pumping out of the Duck River at the present, a small amount of water into Lake McCartney just to help top it up. Like, for what they're saying there, they're more or less saying, oh, well, we're just going to, in the way I read it, we're just going to have water restrictions.
So you basically inquiring whether there's a plan B or whether we can develop a plan B.
Well, quite obviously they haven't got a plan B, have they?
Well, it's not noted there, no. I'll give you
No.
that, yeah.
So we've got to sort of put an idea in their head that maybe, because the irrigation main is not that far from Lake McCartney out there, they can join into the irrigation scheme and you can pump water for winter take out of the duck, which even though they're not pumping it into the irrigation dam, there'd be still enough water there at the moment to pump a bit into our town water supply.
We can ask the question.
certainly
Yeah,
ask
we
the
can certainly
question.
ask the question and see what comes back. So, yep.
No worries, thanks.
Can I just comment on that? The situation is pretty dire with the Duck River scheme too. Like they're down to 30%, and they're unexpecting to deliver 40% of their allocation next year.
So, just a sec, Councillor Hine. We'll note those
Yep.
from Councillor Flowers and I'll come to you to
Oh,
turn
right.
it into a question. What you going to say? So we don't need any motion on that, do we? 7.1?
no.
No, 1, 2, right. Sorry, Councillor Hine. Yes, go ahead, but make a question at the end.
Do you realise?
It's really
Are you
a
concerned?
comment only because.
Right, there are you concerned about? There you
They're
go.
concerned about it.
I am concerned about it, but I'm concerned about the whole area really because
We'll take it as read. Go on.
there's. I've just done a rainfall graph of the whole area, and a 10-year average of Smithton and Stanley is compared to this last 12 months growing season, the water deficit is down at 48%, and so that's really a significant fall, and one of the reasons why we're so short of water and that sort of stuff around the district.
Certainly are concerned. Obviously, every person that in circulated who has anything to do or any knowledge of farming would have concerns. Where that goes from here, I don't know. I suppose when we get answers back like this, you can start to formulate some further queries or maybe some actions.
Well, another suggestion, although it's probably brackish water, but there's probably water that can be picked up from Black River because the pipe goes underneath the Black River to come back, which feed it back from there to, which is a better option probably than the duck because of the environmental flow of the.
Yep.
of
Right.
the
Let's
duck.
see what comes back, and we can ask further questions if necessary. Councillors with questions without notice, we're in. I've got a question. Oh, Councillor Flowers.
Nature strips. Are the landowners required to mow their nature strips, or it's just, is it legal for them to mow?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. No, the property owners aren't required to mow their nature strips. Council do intervene just to manage fire abatement type issues, but yeah, property owners generally aren't required.
So if they don't mow it and it becomes a fire hazard, we're required to mow it.
Yeah, that's
No, yeah, yep. No, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Oldacre?
I do have the trouble with the chair here tonight, Mr Mayor, just because I'm jammed against the wall at night.
You come down.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to get close to you.
All right, I'll come back up.
My question, I was informed the other day that the money's paid for just open the kiosk at building at the Salians. Are you aware of whether that's right or do you know anything about it?
I don't know anything about it, so we need
We'll
to
have
take that on notice.
Stephen
Unless...
Johnson, councillor, and come back to it. No, yep. Yep, we'll take it on notice and come back to it. No further questions? Thank you. 8.1, notice of motions, Councillor Flowers.
Well, it is as it reads. I'd like to see the emblems on our vehicles so they can be...
Yep, so you put your motion, I'll get a seconder, and then we, so the motion is as is there a seconder to the motion?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Poposky. Yes, Councillor Flowers?
First question, off track a little bit. Do you have a conflict here or not? Do you drive a council car without an emblem?
I drive a council car for council work,
Without an emblem?
without an emblem, yeah. I don't believe I've got a conflict though, no.
No, that's okay then. Yeah, just that at present, all the council vehicles, or none of the council vehicles, can be seen by public, or even myself with the outside workforce vehicles. You're sort of looking, is that a council vehicle or is that just a normal contractor? The expense of this is the price I got from a local one, not a up the coast one. Signed sticker made was $20. Another councillor had got a price and that was $15 plus GST. It's very minimal. We've got to be, trying to think of the word, we've got to be accountable for everything else. I can't think of the... Yeah, we've got to be accountable for everything else, open to the public, so they can see what's happening in the office and wherever. But we're not accountable for the cars by the look of it. And for people getting abused or whatever, because they've got a sticker on their car, people pick on them or whatever they want to say. They've got an emblem like on their jackets. And we've also been handed cards nearly 2 years ago. If you've got an issue, here's the number, ring up and let them deal with it. Now, if the outside workforce or anyone outside the office is getting hassled by a member of the public, hand them the card and say, ring the office, I don't know about it. You ring the office and they'll deal with it. That's just a poor excuse. And I brought this up the month before, like I said last month. It was a pretty poor answer that was given last month. So that's the reason I've moved the motion that stickers be placed on all council vehicles and trailers. Thank you.
I would like to make an amendment to this motion, Mr Mayor, through you, that staff prepare a workshop discussion paper outlining a comprehensive approach to organisational branding with a view to adopting a branding strategy for the whole council. So my reason for moving this amendment, and
We need a second.
Yep.
Seconded by Councillor Collins.
Thank you. And my reason for moving this amendment, while I thank Councillor Flowers for raising the issue of organisational profile, I feel this issue is wider than...
Point of order.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor, but in essence, I don't think this is really an amendment. I think she's moving a procedural motion to take it to a workshop. That's how I would read it.
Right, is it?
I think it is, sorry, thank you, councillor, if I may. I think it is an amendment to the motion because she's not saying don't do it. She is saying, can we do it differently? if I'm
I'm just,
understanding
yeah,
it right.
I'm just saying that I feel that this issue is wider than purely stickers on vehicles. That maybe we should be looking at a bigger picture. And that, therefore, that would present an opportunity for us to take the opportunity to develop a comprehensive branding strategy, taking into account all of the elements that go towards building our community reputation, profile and engagement. And we can do better in presenting council to the community. This is our opportunity to do that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Collins, you wish to speak?
I support what Deputy Mayor Dawes has to say. I think it's a great idea that maybe it's a possibility that if we actually branded, yes, the cars with council, but actually gave people a little bit more of an outline. People approach council cars if they know that there's a council member in it, and possibly with all the wrong type of questions for that particular person, which is wasting their time and day. So they're not getting their job done as efficiently if there's people out there questioning them on stuff they really don't have the answers to at the time. So maybe if they knew who they were talking to, maybe that might be a little bit better option for each individual branding.
Other speakers for or against? Councillor Popovsky, then Councillor Dabner.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to move a procedural motion to lay this on the table for 1 month to discuss at a workshop.
Right, so we now is there a seconder to the procedural motion? Seconded by Councillor Oldacre. There can be no debate. Those for the procedural motion?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. Thank you. Councillor Hines.
Thank you, councillors. Yes, I put this motion. I think it's hope that we may be able to involve the younger generation of our community to have some valuable input to what we could do if and when we develop this.
Councillor Hine, that's reading different to what the motion is in front of me.
Yes.
So put your motion, get the second up, then you can talk to it.
I'll second it.
Well, the motion as...
Motion is as read.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Flowers has seconded the motion. Sorry, Councillor Hine, now you can proceed.
Yep. Thank you. Turn back up again.
Sorry, Councillor Hine.
Sorry. I put this motion with the hope that we may be able to involve the younger generation of our community to have some valuable input to what we could do if and when we develop the central area of the CBD. I think we generally get a better outcome if we start from the bottom up with a project that's trying to drive that instead of trying to drive it from the top down, which is not what normally seems to be the case when you have consultants involved. Ideally, some sort of a competition between the higher education facilities would be a good start. I commend the motion.
Councillor Flowers, you wish to speak?
No, I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Any further speakers for or against? Councillor Oldacre?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I rise to speak against this motion because we're jumping, it's the cart before the horse here. Is if we're going to have these central plans and you want young people to be involved, invite them to a workshop where they can come and do it. But once you put a motion up, you actually lock this council totally in that you've got to do it. Right? I think this is jumping the gun here, and therefore I'm going to vote against it for that reason.
Thanks, Councillor Oldacre. Any further speakers? Councillor Pilkington?
I think it's a good idea. And the motion actually says considers the merits of involving our local higher education schools, etc. So it's not locking in, it's considering the merits.
Thank you. Any further speakers? Councillor Popovsky.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I concur with Councillor Oldacre that we're putting the cart before the horse. We've got a consultant that will go through the process and cover off 110% on the merits of the motion. So I honestly believe it will happen. There will be a process that we'll go through to get all the inputs we can. Well, and so I don't think we should be locked into a motion this significant at this stage.
Any further speakers? No, I'll be voting against the motion for very similar reasons. Is that I believe, yes, I do believe that the schools and the young people should be involved, but at the appropriate time and not without any structure around that. So therefore, I'll be voting against it. Put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Motion failed. You get the numbers, mates? Councillor Hine again. So you're going to take the motion as read?
Yeah, take the motion as read, because everyone's read it.
Yep. Is there a seconder to the motion? Thanks, Councillor Flowers. Thanks, Councillor Hine.
Thank you. Having some certainty about having some reasonable width for pedestrians and cycle lanes has to be secured prior to any future development plans that may be proposed to enhance and upgrade our CBD and its perimeter areas has to be our number one priority. And so, as I said at the workshop, there's not much good having a plan, or if I was a dairy farmer putting $1 million rotary dairy in the middle of a block and didn't have the arterial lanes and so on, and then there's no point in sort of starting a process. And so I think it's critical that we actually start and negotiate and try and see what's available as far as discussion with landowners to see what we can do to start and then open up that area so that we can develop it and to then develop it to a good open space where we've got good access for pedestrians, etc., right through from Anzac Park through to at least to Nelson Street.
Thanks, Councillor Hine. Councillor Flowers, you wish to speak?
Yeah, we're going to spend all this money to do this, and we've got a track there that you flat out push a pram through. So we've got to organise something so it makes it a bit bigger or a bit more room. Like at the moment, we've only got one little track that goes through to the car park, and it's not adequate for what we want. So we've got to be seen to be finding something what will do the job.
Thank you. For or against speakers? Councillor Oldacre.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And I'm going to speak against this motion. There is some points in here that will probably happen, but let the consultant do it, because you're dealing here with private property, and council has no power of which to acquire private property. Particularly and I might not agree at all with the bottom one, but that's my opinion. Right now, it's the cart before the horse once again. And we need to we've employed a consultant to do this, we need him to go away and draw this plan up. Let him come as to how he's going to get through private property. Because he's got to talk to them. If you put a motion up, as I said before, if you put a motion up, it actually locks you in. Right? And we've already, and I might add, at the budget, and I wasn't here, but you've approved a budget to spend $350,000, I think that's the figure, correct me if I'm wrong, to do this plan. Employed a consultant. If you're shortcutting, he'll put his hand out for the money, the whole lot. Make him do the work.
Any further speakers? For or against? No, I won't be supporting the motions for similar reasons. And I do agree with Councillor Oldacre. There are probabilities that some of this will happen. But until we see the plan of whether that's where we need to go, we need to target then what precisely we need to do. So that's why I'll be voting against it. No further debate, I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Sorry.
Go again, those in favour?
I know, he said aye.
He has retracted very quickly.
3.
Those in favour?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Can't vote twice.
You can point of order it. Thank you, councillors. Right, 9.1, sorry. Cradle Coast Waste Management Annual Plan and Budget. James.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is a report, councillors, to receive an update on the actions of the Cradle Coast Waste Management Group. The Cradle Coast Waste Management Group is involved with waste education, waste diversion, and is funded through the waste levy. And the 24-25 annual plan and budget is presented herein for your consideration.
Thanks, James. Is there any questions in relation? Councillor Hine?
Here's one question. It's to do with where is the operational depot of Tyrecycle Tasmania? You've got mention of it there in probably 4.8 or wait till I shift that thing. 4.17.
Tyre subsidy.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I believe Tyrecycle are based in Hobart.
Right. So the next question is, I understand that the Wynyard Waratah have got a tyre system where they crush up the tyres or something. How does that come about, and do they get a subsidy for that operation as well? Or?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, under the understanding that all of the Northwest Regional Councils deal with their tyres the same as Circular Head, so they get transported to Hobart. I wasn't aware they process tyres themselves.
Oh, I think you'll find that they have actually some sort of a, yep. Thank you.
Thanks. No further questions? Could we have a mover and a seconder that report be noted? Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Seconded, Councillor Dabner. No further debate, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, 9.2, the Forest Sports Centre, I've been informed that there's an actual application for a community grant in the system at the moment, which will come to us next meeting.
Yep.
So what I'd ask then, if we could have a mover that this lay on the table for Councillor Dabner, Councillor Oldacre. Put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Down the duck, 9.3.
Yep.
Alan.
Right, through you, Mr Mayor. Councillors request a consideration of the 3 community events, the Day on the Duck, the Australia Day Awards and the fireworks. Councillors were briefed at a workshop last week and considered the 3 main points that are contained in the report of whether the Day on the Duck should be held on Australia Day or the 4th Saturday, and the recommendations are put that the Day on the Duck be on the 4th Saturday in January, and it separates the other 2 events to be held on Australia Day, that being the fireworks display and the Australia Day Awards. So I'll put the report for your consideration.
Thank you. Questions? Okay, we did workshop it like Alan said. Right, if we could have a mover and a seconder for the report then. Move Councillor Dawes, Deputy Mayor, sorry. Seconded Councillor Collins. Deputy Mayor, you wish to speak?
Only to say that I already said this at the workshop, that I think the last couple of years that we've tried this Day on the Duck, it's worked really well. Last year the weather probably did prevent a few people from turning up. That happens with any outdoor event, as we know. We live in an area where we're subject to weather changes, the drop of a hat. But I really think that for the reasons that it says in this report, to be able to coax those food vendors and everything that we need to make this event a success, it works much better to do it on the Saturday than on a public holiday where those vendors are off doing other events. And I love the Australia Day Awards breakfast and the fireworks, and that both of those events attracted quite large crowds last year, so I'm all for this.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Deputy
Mr.
Mayor.
Mayor.
Councillor Collins, you wish to speak?
No, thank you.
Any other speakers? Councillor Popovski?
Mr Mayor, I'd like to, well, if I have to move an amendment, I will, but I'd like to see, and it's not an option there in the motion, that we have the Day on the Duck combined with the Australian Day Award and fireworks on the 26th of January.
Yeah,
Is that an amendment or?
It has to be an
should there-
amendment, yeah. Have to be an
Well,
amendment.
I'd like to move amendment that the two be combined for the 26th of January
So you're just moving the Day on the Duck to the 26th of January?
with the fireworks and the presentation.
Okay, is there a seconder to that amendment?
Yes, I'll.
Councillor Hine, right, Councillor Popovski, you wish to speak to that?
Yes, Mr Mayor, for a number of years, we had a very successful day on, with it all combined on one day. I understand to some extent the number of vendors could be limited, but that doesn't still take away the enjoyment and the reason why we're celebrating the 26th of January. It is Australia Day, and there will be enough vendors turn up and we can get charitable organisations without having to worry about up the coast. So that's my main reason to stop there, because it's been proven successful and a volunteer committee will make it successful. Service clubs can make it successful, and I believe that's where it should be.
Thank you. Councillor Hine, you wish to speak?
No, it's covered it pretty well, thanks.
Any speaker for or against that amendment? I'll be voting against the amendment because I've been to, yes, it was successful before, but I believe the current method is more successful. So that's the way I'll be going with it. So I'll put the amendment. The amendment, just to recap, is that effectively that everything is held on the 26th of January. And I will add that into my words that we're not moving away from Australia Day. We're still doing all the formal and official things on Australia Day. So the amendment all on the 26th of January. Those in favour of the amendment?
Aye.
Those against? Aye. Get them? Thank you. We'll come back to the original motion. Any further speakers for or against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Got them again? Carried. Thank you, councillors. 9.4, next National Selection Grant application.
Well, in line with the council policy that I'm catching up on, this
Sorry to
doesn't-
put pressure on Alice.
This doesn't go to a working party. This is put to a council meeting, and we have one applicant, Jacob Furphy, who's recommended there for your consideration to receive the $500 support of making the national team in his chosen field.
So move.
Thanks, Councillor Hine. Second, Councillor Flowers. Wish to speak, Councillor Hine?
No, I think it's, well, yes, certainly we should support, really, a young fellow like that that's really excelling on the scene and world scene, really. And so we try to encourage that wherever we can.
Thank you. Councillor Flowers?
Yeah, it's good to see him playing outside the state and having a crack. The money is, in my eyes, is mere pittance, but every little cent helps.
Any other speakers for or against? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you, councillors. Carry forward projects, 9.5.
Thank you, Mr Mayor and councillors. Before you, we have the carry forward projects for 24-25. In previous years, these carry forwards have been included as part of the annual plan and budget estimates, which is generally adopted in June each year. Decided to do a little bit different process this year and wait till some of the costings and things like that actually came through. We presented it at the July council meeting, which was laid on the table to bring back to a workshop, which we workshopped. And the end result was that 45 projects have been carried forward at an estimated value of 1.9 million. So I'll present the report for Council's consideration, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Rachel. We did workshop this heavily and individually, but is there any questions with that? Councillor High?
Yes, there is one question. We've carried 1.9 million forward out of a total of 2.4, was it something like that? I think we've allocated just on 89,000 towards the Stanley stormwaters. Is that correct out of that?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. It was approximately that amount. Yep.
All right. Does that mean that will completely fund that project, and is the money going to be spent on the actual main road, the main drain area, or total of the Stanley stormwater?
It's not expected that the funding would fund any physical work. It's expected that it should fund the completion of the technical and design work, subject to the scope of stage 3 being developed.
So you haven't really got a figure yet to as far as stage 3 is concerned, of what that's going to cost, or?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Right. So there could be a request for more dollars, perhaps, or?
I expected this to be an ample amount, but there's a possibility, depending on the scope that we agree on.
Thank you.
Okay. No other questions? Is there a move and a second that report be adopted? Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Seconded Councillor Poposky. No further debate? Motions, those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Financial report, 9.6.
Thanks again, Mr Mayor. Councillors, we have the financial report for the period end 31st of July before you. We received 3 applications for the First Home Owners Grant, which is pleasing in the first month. In terms of the comprehensive income statement or the profit and loss statement, we currently have, as working on an accruals basis of accounting, we raise all our rates in July each year, so we've currently got a surplus of 9.8 million, but we do have a budgeted deficit for the year of 2.4, so it'll change no doubt throughout the year. We've got some notes down the bottom of page 43 as well, which explains the variances above. In terms of the financial position, statement of financial position, we have total equity, so that's basically our assets minus liabilities, of 284 million. In terms of the cash flow statement year to date, we've got a current cash balance of 20.1 million, which is basically the same as what last financial year was at 20.1 million. In terms of our receivables, on page 46, we have $10.5 million outstanding compared to 9.3 last year. We do have a bit of a difference in there in that in the way that we account for the fire levy. So previously we used to record that as a liability and then just pay it out to the fire department when they invoiced us. But we're actually obliged to record that as an income and an expense. So that's what the difference is in terms of the rates raised between the 2 years. So it's about $450,000 we collect in fire levy each year. In terms of the debtors are down quite a bit. We did have about 450,000, I think it was in bridge grants, that we'd invoiced for the state that got mucked around at the end of June last year, that went in and out and in and out, and we finally ended up getting them in June. So I think they were there for the whole 12 months, which skewed the figures a bit. But they're done now. In terms of the bank rec, we have a number of online saving accounts there and term deposits. And then we have the service area reports, I suppose you call them. And Councillor Pilkington, they have got your depreciation balance in there, and it's only in there for the year to date so far, but as as each month goes by, will populate the previous years as well. So hopefully by Christmas time, you'll have all the columns in there as well too.
Thank you.
In terms of the financial report, that's it. We just had completed our financial statements yesterday, which were lodged with Tas Audit Office on the due date, which is good, and we have the on-site audit for 5 days starting in September, so all our staff will be involved in that. So I'll present the report for Council's consideration, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Rachel. Any questions?
Yeah,
Councillor Pavlovsky.
are you able to tell us what percentage of rates have been paid up until this date?
That would be, through you, Mr Mayor, that would be on page 46. It's got proportion uncollected there, so it's 87%. So what's that, 12.77 we've collected? So 12.
So we've collected 87.
No.
No, we've got 87% outstanding. We've collected 12%.
But
Because they would have only been sent out. We only raised them on the 1st of
Yes, we've got
July,
to
and then-
yeah. My question leads to the discount we offer.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that next month's,
Yeah, so I was a bit early, but I
show
just
that.
wanted to see if there was any indication.
last year, doing the financial doing the financial statements, preparing them, looking at the discount that was offered in 22-23 compared to 23-24, it had actually dropped by about $20,000. So it was about $220,000 the year before, and the 23-24 that we've just done, it had dropped to about 200. So that indicated that not as many people were
Taking the
taking the
option.
discount up. Yep.
Thank you.
any further questions? If I could have a mover and a seconder for the financials, please. Thanks, Councillor Pilkington. Seconded, Councillor Dabner. No debate. Put the motion. Those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Senior Management Report.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, there's just a couple of things that I'd like to highlight on here for you today. The Options and Opportunities Expo that's going to be held this time next week. The first one we did a couple of years ago was very well attended. It is a free community event. The schools will be going through in the afternoon dedicated sessions. They can come back in the evening with their families if they wish to. So I urge you to spread the word about that. It's a very helpful event for people unsure about what they want to do and looking for some options. No sort of no fault discussions, if you like. And the second thing, as I hope you're all well aware, is Charts is about to start. We've got a fantastic programme this year and something for everybody, I think. So I commend the report.
Thank you. Questions? There you go. If I could have a move and a second that the report be noted, please. Thanks, Councillor Collins. Second, Deputy Mayor. Put the motion. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. That was a bit easy. No.
You're on the minutes.
No minutes. Right, so I need a mover and a seconder that the matters in 10.0 be considered enclosed.
And just before you go off that minutes from other bodies, are there any due?
Oh,
Oh, I'm afraid I don't know.
no, we'll have to take on notice as and come, sorry, Councillor Posky, and come back.
Yeah.
I don't know about
And
what would
have
be,
we received president reports from their annual meetings to each of these committees, maybe investigated as well, if they've had them?
they should be within the minutes, but yeah, but normally the President's report would be presented within minutes of the
And the
AGM.
advantage of that is that councillors can see what they've got in the pipeline looking forward.
Yep.
And that's the idea of getting that president's report.
Okay,
Yeah, no
take
problem.
on notice. Right, 10.0, I need a mover and a seconder that matters there are considered enclosed. Thanks, Councillor Hines, second, Councillor Dabner. Put the motion, those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. And another mover and a seconder that the meeting be closed. Thanks, Deputy Mayor, second, Councillor Hines. Put the motion, those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. That's got to look good.